it's story time. For this video log, I want to focus on scamming, okay? It's so crazy, but I've been in Taiwan for about 2 weeks now, for about 14 days, give or take 14 days. And I want to bring awareness to scamming, right? I think we all should be, if you're planning to take a trip overseas or just going somewhere out of your comfort zone in general, then you should probably look at where you're going. What I mean by that is you need to look at the crime rates, see like what's the most safe area, what's the most dangerous area, what are the laws like in the city or the country, and what's the most effective way to avoid trouble and stuff like that. Okay, I didn't do any of that before I came to Taiwan, but let me tell you the situation, and then we can get more into like the logistics of scamming and scams and stuff like that. But like, so I was on Tinder, right? I was on Tinder, and on my Tinder page, I put in Chinese, "Hi, I'm in Taiwan studying abroad this summer, and I would love to make more friends." It wasn't just Tinder that I put this on. I put this on like kind of any of the apps that I use. Like it could be like Hello Talk, which is kind of like a language exchange app that I use to like help practice my Chinese speaking skills and just listening skills and just help me practice my language skill in general. That was the main purpose that I wanted to do. I wanted to meet people so I can talk to them to like practice my Chinese. Because a lot of people I hang with while I'm in Taiwan, they're also like foreign students from the US, from America, and like outside of class when we hang out, we're like kind of all speaking English, which probably isn't a good thing. We should probably speak more Chinese, but yeah, we're all kind of speaking English. And so I think the best way to like immerse yourself in a culture or a language is to like make friends surrounding that culture and that language, right? So anyway, I matched with this guy on Tinder, and he's like, oh, hi. It's like the basic stuff like, hi, what are you doing in Taiwan? Like studying, I'm learning Chinese, and how long are you gonna be in Taiwan? I'm like, oh, not that long, just for the summer. I'm still doing my study, blah blah blah. And then switch over to a different app. In Taiwan, they use the Line app a lot to like communicate with people, and like I know that, so I didn't think it was strange or anything like that, because like I said, a lot of people in Taiwan use the Line app. So I'm like, okay, yeah, you can add me. Here's my Line ID, blah blah blah. And so we're like talking, and I'm like, oh, do you like speak English? He's like, no. And I'm like, oh, you don't speak English? Okay, that's fine. I'm learning Chinese. We talking in Chinese. It's helpful, right? It's like helping me be able to like understand like the natural flow and coherency and how people like speak naturally to their like just peers in general, right? Okay, so literally like that night, we only like texted one day or whatever. Then it was like that night he was like, oh, do you have time tomorrow? And I was just like, oh, I don't know, I have classes, I have tutoring, I have a lot of homework. Y'all, I'm a wimp by nature, okay? I am a coward by nature. I don't like going out of my comfort zone too much, which is something that I wanted to work on, something that I wanted to change. I'm in another country. I'm in Taiwan. I'm supposed to branch out of my comfort zone. So I'm like, but at the same time, I'm also kind of like weary of people. So I'm kind of just like, I don't know like how to balance it, right? And so I'm like, so I tell him, I'm like, yeah, I have class, I have tutoring, I have like a lot of homework, whatever. And he didn't let it go. He was just like, oh, when are you free? And I was like, maybe after like 3:30 or whatever. He's like, okay, do you want to like hang out. And I was just like, oh, where? I was just like, where? Like, where do you want to hang out? It's just like, oh, we can meet up at 7-Eleven, which is like a store, like a very popular like convenience store around here. And it's like a really cool looking store. It's not like convenience stores in the US. It's actually like pretty cool looking. It's pretty decent looking or whatever. So I'm like, okay, he gave me an address and I put the address into my phone or whatever to see like where it was, how far it was, and I was just like, it's like 20 minutes from where I live if I walked. And I'm like, excuse me. I'm like, I don't feel comfortable going that far to meet someone that I don't know, as well as my phone isn't on in Taiwan. Like, so I kind of need internet access. And Taiwan is very Wi-Fi friendly. A lot of places in Taiwan has Wi-Fi, but I just don't feel comfortable like going out with someone I don't know, like that far away or whatever. Plus, I'm kind of lazy. I didn't feel like walking that far. So I told him like, oh, I can do it. And he was like, oh, why not? And I was just like, I don't know where that place is and my phone's not on and I don't want to get lost. He's like, oh no, it's fine. You could just like, so then he was just like, oh, and if you guys hear all that thundering and like raining in the back, it's like really thundering and rainy right now. It rains a lot in Taiwan. But anyway, so basically I'm like, we can meet at the 7-Eleven that's like closer to where I'm staying or closer to where I'm going to school. And so I tell him like, okay, this is the address where I want to meet up or whatever. And so he's like, okay, like what time or whatever. And I was just like, okay, we can meet at 5. And so five comes, and I'm at the place that was agreed to meet at, and before I met him, like before the time even had like arrived, I asked him, I was just like, oh, can you send me a picture of you so I know how you look, you know, when I get there, so I know who I'm looking for. And it's just like, yeah. So he sends me a picture. And then he was like, oh, and you too. And so I'm like, all of my photos are of me on Tinder. So there's no way, like, he doesn't know how I look because they're all me. I'm not catfishing anyone, so they're all me. But, like, okay. So I have this picture of him or whatever. I don't know. Maybe it was him. I don't know. I really don't know. But, like, okay, so I get to the place and I tell him, oh, I'm here. Because I connected to the Wi-Fi from the convenience store. I'm like, oh, I'm here, I've arrived. And he's like, oh, he's texting me. He's like, oh, send me a picture. So I like, no. I'm like, I didn't think in my head. I'm like, okay, that's not strange at all. Like, you know, he wants to know where I'm at so he can like easily find me. And so I send a picture of like the street that I'm at, right? And he's like, okay, well, I'm gonna send you my manager's line ID and you're gonna add my manager and he's gonna give you a call to like confirm the appointment time. At that point, I was just like, appointment? Because I had to like put it in Google Translate to make sure I got this under like correct, because I was just like, I don't know what he's talking about. Appointment? What appointment? It just sounds so formal, like, or like I just made an appointment like with a I don't even know, but like I was just like, I ain't making no appointments, like, no, okay, no, we're not doing that over here. Cause seeing he like brought up his job, he was just like, I told you I was a casino worker, right? So you need to like explain this to my manager or whatever. And so at that point, I'm kind of a little confused. I'm like, okay, maybe there's like a translation issue going on here. Like, I don't know. So like, I'm like asking him like, oh, you're saying that I need to like call your manager or whatever, but I don't understand. What does you working at the casino have to do with me, right? And he's like, oh, it's just to confirm that I'm meeting with you. And I'm like, I don't understand why I need to talk to your manager or about us meeting. That doesn't seem right? So at that point, I'm like, okay, let me go back to my apartment because my apartment was kind of like just down the street. And so I'm like, okay, let me go back to my apartment because I'm not waiting up here at this 7-Eleven because I don't. The vibes I was getting from like that message when he said that kind of threw me off, and I was just like, okay, no, this doesn't seem valid. This doesn't seem like valid or whatever. So I go back to my apartment or whatever, and he's like, oh, hurry up and like call my manager before it's like too late. And I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm like, calling your manager. He's just like, okay, let me call you, and then you can talk to him from my phone or whatever. He calls me, and I answer, and he's like, what? Like, what? Like, speaking Chinese or whatever. And I'm like, oh, hi? Like, hi? Like, what are you saying? And he goes, he's saying all these things, and I'm not really, like, listening. Because at this point, I'm kind of just like, I don't know what you're talking about, bro. You're not making no type of sense to me. I don't know what you're talking about. And so, like, I'm just like, But then I hear Tian, and Tian in Chinese is money. So I'm like, hold on. 你需要我给你钱吗？他说对。I said, he asked me to give him money, and I was just like, hold on, what am I giving you money for? And then I'm like, hold on, maybe I didn't understand it. I'm like, my listening comprehension is not that good, so maybe I'm like misinterpreting something here. So then I'm like, you know what? 请你给我发短信. Like, just send me a text. Just send me a text, bro. Because at this point, I'm finna use Google Translate again. Because, like, I want to make sure I'm getting this, like, correct, right? And so he, like, hangs up. He texts me. And he's like, yeah, you need to send me 5,000 yuan, which is, like, 5,000 new Taiwanese dollars, which probably, like, in USD is probably, like $170, maybe, around that much. And I'm like, I was like, I don't have money. I'm like, I don't have money. And he was like, how much money do you have? And I was just like, I don't have any money. And he's like, oh, you just like send me 5,000 yen, and then when we meet, I'll give it back to you. And I'm like, yep, definite scam. This is definitely a scam. So I'm like, oh, I'm like, 你是骗人的。你觉得因为我是外国人，你可以骗我，但是我觉得你的办法很笨。I'm like, you're a scammer. You're a liar. You think just because I'm a foreigner that it's like easy to like scam me? But no, thank you. Because first of all, this is stupid. Everything that you just said is stupid. It doesn't make sense. Like, why would I pay you to meet you? Make it make sense. It don't make sense. And he was like, no, what are you talking about? And he's just like, oh, go to this store, go to 7-Eleven and just tell them and they'll know what you're talking about. And I was just like, I'm not doing any of this. So then he like kept on like talking and he was like texting, like trying to get me to understand or whatever. But I'm like, I don't understand. No, I don't understand. So he's like sending question marks. And then finally I was just like, 再见. I'm like, bye. And then he gets upset. Y'all. And at this point I get threatened. Imagine getting threatened in another language, bro. I was just like, oh my goodness. And like, at the time, I got scared. I really got scared, bro. Okay? Because I didn't go to our messages. I just saw the notification pop up that he had texted me this. He was like, nah, 你在 he's like, 那你在家等死, which is like basically, oh, then you wait in your house to die. Like, just, you're gonna die in your house, whatever. So I'm like, then he sends me a video and a video and a video. But I didn't see the video. I didn't look at our messages yet. I just see so-and-so sent you video. And I panicked. My first response was just like, oh, shoot, I have to call the police. Then I'm like, oh, shoot, I'm in Taiwan. And I'm like, the reason that I started to panic was because when I saw the videos, I was just like, oh my goodness, did he see me at 7-Eleven? Was he there and I didn't know? Did he follow me? Did he take a video recording of me walking to my apartment from the 7-Eleven? And all of this anxiety just rose up in me, and I was just like, I clicked on the message and I saw that the video wasn't of me. And I was just like, oh my goodness, oh my goodness, oh my goodness, oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. It was, the videos themselves weren't even like scary. There was just like a couple Asian guys like waving around like a gun or whatever, a gun, and then it was just like another guy laying on the floor and there's like blood around. They had like knives and bloods and whatever. I guess it was like a really, like, supposed to be like really, really scary, but the videos weren't scary. The thing that was really scary was the fact that I would have messed up. It would have been so easy for him to have like followed me from that gas station, from that convenience store if he was there. That thought was what like really, really scared me. And then he was just like, my manager is going to like find you and kill you or whatever. And so then I reported him online. And then I went to Tinder and I reported him on Tinder. And I explained the situation, whatever. And the whole time I'm like texting, like typing the situation out or whatever. My hands are shaking. And I'm just like, oh my goodness, this really just happened to me. And it's just like, it was just so crazy to me because I normally would never do this sort of thing. I don't meet people. I am not a social person. I don't like taking a lot of risk like that. But I'm like, okay, people do this. Okay, this is how people meet nowadays, and like, it works out for the most part. It's not that dangerous. But sometimes there are situations where it is dangerous, and this situation was kind of just like, oh my goodness, I'm never doing this again. But so I wanted to make a video about it to like bring awareness. I just want people to know that like when you're traveling, especially if you're traveling alone, take precautions. Know where you're at. I literally, after that, I had to like look at the gun laws in Taiwan because I didn't know that beforehand. I had to look up the gun laws in Taiwan. It's extremely hard to get a gun in Taiwan. Like, the gun laws here are very strict, which is a good thing because you never know. But like, know where you are, take precautions, know what type of scams happen, because like there are a multitude of scams. Like, I looked it up and I was just like, oh my goodness, why are there so many? They're like taxi scams, okay? Like, people who aren't taxi drivers, and they're like, don't have a meter running, and they just overcharge you and stuff. They're like vehicle hire scams. If you want to like hire a vehicle, you want to like rent a vehicle or whatever, you just need to know, like, there's like a lot of like credit card scamming, visa scamming, pickpocketing, like internet scams, and like, oh my goodness, there's so many. And I really just want to bring awareness, okay? That is one thing like that I want to do for my video log too. It's like, if these things happen, these things, like the things I experienced on my time here studying abroad overseas, that I want to help other people realize if they're ever in this type of situation, and to prevent ever being in this type of situation, because it was not fun. I really got scared. I really thought the worst. And if something like that does happen, make sure to inform people around you who you trust, okay? Like, it might be a little hard, especially like if you're traveling alone or whatever, but if you're like, I don't know, you have a roommate, okay? I have a roommate. Thankfully, my roommate is someone that I know from the U.S. who I go to school with, who is in my classes at school. So thankful for that. And like, just if you ever feel like you're in danger and you feel threatened, immediately file a police report. Like, do not trust your gut, trust your instincts. Like, do not just like put it off like, okay, I'm overreacting, whatever, because you never know. Always prioritize your safety. That's one thing that I really want to encourage people to do. Like, prioritize your safety, okay? Because it's stressful. It's very stressful being in a new country all by yourself. And so, yeah, just take precautions. Know where you are. Try to have fun. Try to have fun. But okay, that's all I have to share for today.